Refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it.
Hi.
Too much bounce. Maybe.
Fox Thursday, an all-new Till Death celebrates a gala event that turns to guests gone wild.
That woman violated me out there on that dance floor.
Then, on an all-new War at Home, one of these guys is coming out of the closet.
It ain't me.
Whatever, Dave.
It's not me.
Plus, on an all-new OC, it's the engagement of the year.
The ring you gave her glows in the dark. That's so cool.
And the artist of the year, recording sensation Chris Brown, is coming to the OC. It all starts at 8/7 Central, Fox Thursday. Monday, January 22nd, television's runaway hit is back.
Today's the day we stop running.
The series known for unexpected twists delivers the biggest one of all.
This is Michael Schofield, and I want to turn myself in.
Prison Break returns Monday, January 22nd on Fox.
Boise State, Oklahoma, the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, tomorrow, New Year's Day, only on Fox.
Well, Walt Harris and Javon Walker downfield. This ball is in the air. This is incidental contact. There's a little bump right there, but their feet just get tangled up. But it's just an ill-advised throw by Jake Plummer, because when he first came out on the bootleg, it was a double move on the outside by Javon Walker, and he elected not to throw at that point. Now, when he holds the ball, he allows the other safety to get involved in the play also. So if it didn't look good the first time, there's no way it was going to be good the second time.
Walt Harris with his 7th interception of the season.
I was really surprised he didn't run on that. You know, Jake had a lot of green in front of him, could have got the first down and kept the momentum going for his offense.
And now the 49ers will have not only their best field position of the day, but be in Bronco territory for the first time this afternoon.
Still think Cutler's not going to come back?
No, I don't think he can. I don't think it's a question of whether they want to put him in. If they're playing for the playoffs, they can't afford to put him in.
Smith helping out, losing the handle on that one. And he fights his way back to the line of scrimmage.
Wow. You think he thought somebody was behind him, or?
I don't know if the cold weather, I know the cold weather makes the ball slippery. Does he get it from the center clean? Yeah, he's got it clean, and then it just comes out.
Just squirts right out of his hands.
We've seen Jay Cutler, he fumbled a snap down on the goal line, so maybe this cold weather is making that ball a little slick. But
Smith said he was looking forward to this. Played his college ball at Utah.
His quarterbacks
like the cold weather.
Quarterbacks were very lucky with the ball on the ground getting it back.
They actually lose a couple of yards on the play as he went out of bounds before getting back to the line of scrimmage. Gore, John Lynch all over it. Three-yard pickup for Gore, who came into this game with a chance for the all-time franchise rushing record.
They're coming back on a counter. They get Ian Gold 52 picked up, but you can't account for John Lynch. So you got to know where your unblocked man is, and at that point they were running right at him.
3rd and long. 49ers need the 29. Smith under pressure, no chance. Before he could even set up in his stance, Ebenezer Eckerbaum was right there, and he gets him for the sack. Elvis Dumerville there to help out. But in the end, no chance for Smith to convert on this 3rd down.
You know, there is a key on this play for the defense to really go and determine whether it's going to be pass or run, and it's the depth of the back. The depth of the back is only 5 yards. He's not going to go and get the ball if he's only 5 yards deep. And that just tells the defensive lineman, hey, listen, there's no reason to play the run. Only thing you have possible is a draw. Let's just go. You pin your ears back and you go and after the quarterback like you just saw right there.
So the 49ers lose 7 yards and go 3 and out after taking over at the 39 following the interception by Walt Harris. San Francisco unable to capitalize. And so with 6:37 to go in the first half, Jake Plummer will come out, try and at least hold on to this lead that the San Francisco 49ers really done a good job of keeping Denver out of the end zone and keeping in a couple of field goals. And keep in mind, next week, the NFC playoffs return to Fox. Next Sunday, right here, it will be either the Philadelphia Eagles hosting the New York Giants or Seattle hosting the Dallas Cowboys. The Denver Broncos need to win this one in order to get in on the AFC side. From the 14. And Tatum Bell picks up a couple of yards. And We should mention that he has gone over the 1,000-yard mark today, has Tatum Bell, and he becomes the 4th different running back in 4 straight years for the Broncos to gain 1,000.
You have to credit the offensive line in that situation. It's been one of those scenarios where, hey, whoever goes back there, you know, you're going to get 1,000. But, you know, we talked to Mike Shanahan about it. He doesn't really consider that to be a big feat anymore. He's more interested in 2,000 plus as a team.
That offensive line just does a great job with that zone blocking, and the backs do a great job of, you know, seeing that backside cutback.
There's Tatum Bell going straight ahead on that one. Damon Duckett on the tackle after a gain of a couple.
Well, the big thing that San Francisco has to do now defensively is, you know, we talk about it when you have running backs come in and change out. You know, what is the strength of this running back? What does he do best? Well, right now with Jake Plummer, and you've got to be ready for all the bootlegs and him being on the outside and the perimeter throwing. Jake Cutler is more of a pocket passer. You know, Mike Shanahan kind of held him in. That's one of his strengths. But now with Jake back in the lineup, you know, whatever your game plan coming in for Jake Cutler was, you've got to adjust that back to what Jake Plummer does best, and that's bootlegs and throwing on the outside.
If you're a DB, you better hug up on those receivers, because that play action is very possible.
Looking for the 34, flags down.
False start, offense, number 16. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Plummer called for the false start.
Plummer does a great job with the hard count right there. John Elway, I remember playing here in Denver, and John Elway always getting me on that line of scrimmage and knowing it's a free play, but on this particular play, he gets his own offensive lineman. He
gets himself.
Executes it so well.
He's got to have a head bob in there, and you know, there's a lot of people, you mentioned Elway, a lot of people accuse John throughout his career having that real hard count that all of a sudden the head kind of, you know, gives a little bit of a flinch there.
I know he gave Christmas presents to all those officials, man, because they never called it on him.
You earned that right. You earned that right for the leeway from the officials.
Tatum Bell gets away. But with the second effort, will he get there? He's going to be close. Needed to get it to the 24-yard line.
Interesting call on 3rd and 11.
Just about a half-yard short, so not quite enough. And right now, this Denver Bronco offense unable to have any punch, and whether it's because of the changing quarterback or just one of those days, we don't know. But San Francisco is still in this ball game.
You never know. I mean, Detroit went down to Dallas today and knocked off the Cowboys. So you got a team with everything to gain, and you're playing against a team that really has, you know, nothing to play for. And you don't know what the outcome of those games are going to be.
Lernster boots this one. Brandon Williams slips.
I thought he was going to spike the ball because he was frustrated.
45 on the punt, only 3 on the return. Well, Tuesday, the Tostitos Bowl Bash continues with the FedEx Orange Bowl as the Louisville Cardinals take on the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Both teams trying to end their Cinderella seasons with a win. Coverage begins Tuesday, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific in high definition, only on Fox.
A couple teams you got to be cheering for in the Bowl Bash. Wake Forest, one of them. Boise State, the other one. Good to see teams, you know, not a lot of success in football the last several years. Getting in there and getting onto the big New Year's Day bowls.
That's the first step. And how about Rutgers also?
Great season.
How to throw that in. You know how to throw it in.
Jersey guy. Starting at the 36. Frank Gore. Short pickup, maybe 3 yards on the play. You know, this is a solemn occasion for the San Francisco 49ers. Last time they were here in Denver was preseason 2005, and offensive lineman Thomas Harrion passed away in the locker room from a massive heart attack right after that game. So when the 49ers arrived here in Denver yesterday, Mike Nolan took the team into the locker room, let them have a couple of moments there, say a couple of prayers, and then hop on the team bus and head to the hotel to get ready for today's game, rather than having today be the first time they stepped in the stadium since that terrible incident. Smith, incomplete in direction of Gore. You know, a lot of players say that really made a difference because now they can come out today and simply think football.
You know, when you come into the league as a young guy, you think you're invincible and you can't, you know, you could do anything, and you sort of have to have that chip on your shoulder. But you know, when a situation like that happens and you have somebody pass away right in front of you, it sort of brings everything into perspective, and you sort of appreciate the game and appreciate the guys you're playing with a lot more.
Yeah, I really credit Mike Nolan for realizing what could have happened with his team and getting them over here yesterday and let them have their time and get some closure with the situation that happened the last time that they were here.
And the Niners take a timeout on 3rd down.
I'll tell you right now, the pressure that Denver is getting on Alex Smith is totally affecting him seeing the field. He's not seeing the field really well right now.
Well, this season, the San Francisco 49ers have been one of the surprise teams in the National Football League. Won 4 games last year under Mike Nolan. Now in his 2nd season, Alex Smith improved. Frank Gore became a Pro Bowler. They beat the Seattle Seahawks twice, but lost to Arizona twice. And last week's loss ended their hopes for the postseason. Really, that has been the difference in this team making it to a playoff berth rather than not, because when you beat the defending division champ, you then own the tiebreaker. And had they tied Seattle, they would have won the division. Yeah, they just didn't match up real well with Arizona right now. Those big wide receivers, one of the things that Mike Nolan would like to address in the draft and free agency, get some big corners to compete with Arizona. But at one point late in the season, you know, the 49ers sat at 5-5 and all of a sudden became a real threat to possibly be a playoff team, and they followed that up with a 1-4 stretch. They've got 1 first down and 5 possessions today. Gore, make it 2 and more. John Lynch in front of him to slow him down, and that was the only thing that prevented Gore from going all the way. Big catch after the run after the catch for 26 yards by Frank Gore.
Frank Gore does a great job of going and finding his way through all that, you know, those offensive linemen and defensive linemen, and then breaks out into the open field. And, you know, he could have run out of bounds, but he goes, look, gives a little shuffle and sees John Lynch and wants to see what he's made of. And I'm sure right now that was a nice collision right down there on the field. He's so excited. You know, the season that he's had. You saw the smile on his face when he had the collision with John Lynch. I mean, he loves that stuff. He was so happy to be able to say, I was out in the open field and I took John Lynch on one-on-one and tried to run him over.
Why not with the year that Gore is having? To the 35, Smith through the hands of Gore and intercepted. Champ Bailey, no one in front of him except Alex Smith. And he gets a block. Touchdown, Denver Broncos. Champ Bailey, the leading interceptor in the National Football League, soaking it in and taking advantage.
And that is not Alex Smith's fault. That is Frank Gore's fault. He should have caught that ball. One of the things that Norv Turner said that Alex Smith has done well this year, he's not had the devastating play, the interception return for a touchdown. Now, you can't put that one on Alex Smith. Frank Gore has got to make that catch.
We talked about it earlier with San Francisco with their defensive backs going and worrying about getting the big hit, not really having their eyes on the ball. And tell you what, there's a guy right there, Champ Bailey, who his eyes are always on the ball, always looking to get that interception.
Jason Elam adds the point after, and the Denver Broncos get their first touchdown of the game. It's a defensive one. Frank Gore couldn't hold on to it, and Champ Bailey makes him pay.
Well, Alex Smith does everything right. He comes out, he's looking downfield, there's nothing there, so he's just going to check it down to Frank Gore. Frank Gore is turning before he makes the catch. He goes through his hands. Champ Bailey's coming up, and he's got a clear sideline. Alex Smith, good hustle. He's almost forcing him back to the inside to give time for Moreeeee Norris, who was hustling downfield, to make the tackle. But Champ Bailey, I tell you what, he's had a heck of a year. You talk about defensive MVP candidates, and it's Jason Taylor, Sean Merriman, and Champ Bailey.
Champ's 10th interception of the season. He had 8 last year, and I don't think you can really get anybody to argue that he is not the best defensive back in football right now.
He's a complete defensive back, too. There's a lot of guys out there who are great cover guys. There's other guys out there like an Antoine Winfield, a good cover guy, but a great run supporter. I think when you talk about a complete corner in the NFL, there's nobody that even comes close to Champ Bailey.
I mean, he tackles well. He comes up with support, like you said, Moose. He has the whole package. It's nice, you know, when you have corners that can go and cover and come up and hit, like this guy right here, Champ Bailey. I mean, he's special.
You know, Bailey got into the Sean Merriman discussion this week. Jason Taylor saying that he thinks that Merriman should not be considered for Defensive Player of the Year because of his suspension. And Champ Bailey saying that he agrees that once you're suspended, you should not be eligible for postseason honors like that. Here's Maurice Hicks. Hicks has had a couple of good returners today. This one from his end zone out to about the 35.
I thought Jason Taylor and Champ Bailey really should have stayed out of that and really not made that comment. I thought that Merriman has done a great job. I think, you know, he got suspended for 4 weeks, and Moose, me and you talked about this, and you know, he paid his penalty. But I think if he's good enough to go and become the MVP, defensive MVP or whatever, that they should definitely go and consider him. He's a great player.
I agree with you. And you know, performance-enhancing drugs are the one thing that you can't allow in the NFL. They've got the policy in there. But I honestly believe when Sean Merriman says he took an over-the-counter supplement that resulted in the positive. He made the mistake by going outside of the products that the NFL recommends. He paid his penance. He did his 4 games. If you want to add that next year that you can't be considered for any postseason honors, fine. But it doesn't exist this year.
Gore spinning, trying to make up for that last bad play, gets it into Denver territory, down to the 40-yard line, and it takes us to the 2-minute warning. Broncos needing to win this game to get into the playoffs, lead 13-0.
Fox NFL Sunday is sponsored by the new AT&T. Your world delivered.
Get used to more action. Download hundreds of movies with AT&T Home Zone. TV with the power of the internet. Another innovation from the new AT&T. Your world delivered.
Just when you think the moment is right, it may have to wait a while. Relax. You have up to 36 hours with Cialis. Cialis is the only erectile dysfunction tablet clinically proven to work up to 36 hours. 36 hours can be the difference between being interrupted and being ready, when finally the moment is right. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions and all medications, and ask if you're healthy enough for sexual activity. Don't take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain, as this may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Don't drink alcohol in excess with Cialis. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help if you experience priapism, an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease in vision, stop taking Cialis and call your doctor right away. So relax. Time is on your side. 36-hour Cialis. When the moment is right, will you be ready?
With the 24-yard run on that last play, Frank Gore, now the single-season rushing yardage leader in franchise history, passing the old mark, which was set by Garrison Hurst back in 1998, so congratulations to Gore.
A great individual accomplishment by Frank Gore, but what I like even more about it, the response to the drop pass that resulted in Champ Bailey's touchdown.
Bouncing right back with a big run, putting the Niners at the 41 of Denver. Smith, open his battle, and Arnaz battle, stays in bounds and gets the first down. Clock now down to 1:40.
Yeah, he might have wanted to get out of bounds on that one right there and save some time.
San Francisco working with 2 timeouts right now, and just about a minute and a half to go. Now they got a bad spot on that one. They back it up just inside that first down marker, so it's 2nd and short. Smith looking deep, going up, can't catch it is Taylor Jacobs, covered nicely by Darren Williams.
When you have a guy on the outside that you have trust with as a quarterback and a wide receiver, you can make these throws. Taylor Jacobs is going to go up and get the ball, or he's going to prevent Darren Williams from making the interception. That's the next step with this offense. They've got to get guys on the outside that Alex Smith has the confidence in, that he can make a throw and it's not going to result in a negative play.
So they took a shot on 2nd and short. 3rd and less than a yard now. Gore back in the eye, and movement there on the right side of the offensive line. Penalty markers come out.
Full start offense, number 68. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
It's on Adam Snyder.
That's just a huge miscue by Adam Snyder, because you're 3rd and short, now you're 3rd and 6. San Francisco, this entire first half, it just continued to shoot themselves in the foot offensively.
Well, Well, they've had their opportunities, defense doing everything that it can to keep them in the ball game, including a couple of goal line stands on back-to-back possessions for the 49er offense, unable to take advantage of it. Smith. Eric Johnson won't even get close. Darren Williams wraps him up as soon as he caught that football. And right now the Niners trying to decide whether or not to kick it or go for it. Have you noticed it's quieter up here?
A little bit more room in here too.
Tony Siragusa heading down to the field where he will speak with both coaches during halftime as the Niners take a timeout. And I think the big question for the Broncos is, will we see Jay Cutler anymore in this ball game? Cutler knocked out. They haven't officially called it a concussion, but they do say it's a head injury, and he has been checked out and is listed as probable. And that big interception by Champ Bailey probably helped to keep Cutler on the sideline because it gave them a little more breathing room.
It really did, because before that, it's a one-possession game. The goal line stands by San Francisco's defense that you mentioned, you know, kept it a 6-point game, and then Champ Bailey makes the huge play on the tip pass by Frank Gore. That makes things makes that decision a little bit easier for Mike Shanahan.
What a season Champ Bailey has had. I mean, he has really been the guy that's every team focuses on when they come in to play Denver.
When John Lynch says it's the best defensive player he's ever been on the field with, that's a pretty bold statement. He was with Derek Brooks, Warren Sapp. I mean, that's a pretty impressive statement from John Lynch.
Niners going for it on 4th down. They need the 31. Smith flushed out, has room to run, and gets the first down, maybe. See where they spot this ball. He went just enough yardage to get it. So good job there by Smith picking up the first down and keeping the drive alive with 57 seconds and a timeout left.
Well, that's one of the things that Norv Turner was impressed with when he came to San Francisco, was the mobility of Alex Smith. And what Norv does with a young quarterback, he likes to play to his strengths. So he wants to get Alex Smith out of the pocket, out on the edge with some bootlegs, with some rollout type passes. He doesn't want him to be strictly in the pocket all the time.
Vernon Davis in motion. A handoff to Gore. Well, he likes contact, doesn't he? And this time running right into Hamza Abdullah and dishing it out as well as taking it.
He's not going to shy away from contact. I mean, he's a compact, stout runner. And you listen to this right at the end. Helmet to helmet.
Niners go without Holland. Smith, that one, a bad throw. Right into the ground, intended for Brian Gilmore. But it stops the clock with 31 seconds remaining, which means we're 31 seconds on the clock away from the Visa halftime report. Joe Buck, Terry, Howie, and Jimmy with all the scores and highlights from around the league. They'll definitely get you set on the playoff picture, and our Fox Sports ticker will keep you updated with up-to-the-second stats only on the Visa halftime report. Third down for the Niners. Gore following his blockers and will be stopped at about the 13-yard line. Gore picks up the first down. Clock now down to 20 seconds. 19 officially, and the Niners will use their final timeout.
I never understand that. I never understand why you don't know to call a timeout immediately after the play. They just let 5 seconds run off that clock. Now that 5 seconds translates almost into a full opportunity to get a ball into the end zone from the 13-yard line. So you add that back to 24, you know, you really got 3, maybe 4 shots into the end zone if you conserve enough time. So I just never understand why it's not made clear in the huddle. All right, Frank, we're going to run the ball in this situation. When you get tackled, pop up and get a timeout signal. You're kind of up, walking back, you know, what do we want to do? What do we want to do in this situation? And 5 seconds runs off.
Now, I'm going to throw this out here since you are the expert. Do you think anything has to do with the fact it's a 13-0 game? You've got a young team that, you know, maybe you don't want to run too many plays here before halftime because it gives you a chance to make a mistake and feel bad about yourself going into the locker room.
No, no. They've got some guys out there. They got some guys who can make some plays.
Not everybody's winning 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, you know. Best drive of the day for the 49ers. On the 12-yard line, no timeouts.
Vernon Davis on the backside all by himself.
And penalty markers before the snap.
False start, offense number 85. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
And that's on Vernon Davis.
Yeah, they put the 2 receivers to the other side and put Vernon Davis just as a solo receiver to that side. And they had a corner route called for him, so he knows he's got an opportunity for a shot to the end zone, and he's a little bit excited and gets a little bit of a flinch before that ball is snapped. Just a little bit.
Like I said, maybe you don't want to run too many plays before halftime.
13-7 is better than 13-3. These guys right now offensively need as many opportunities as they can have because they just keep giving them away.
2 tight ends set. Smith pulls it down. Lost the football. And the Broncos had a golden opportunity. Kennard Lang, rather than falling on it, tried to pick it up. And instead of getting the turnover, 49ers hold on.
All right, maybe they should just let the clock run.
Yeah, you got too many opportunities.
I'm envisioning Kennard Lang going 65 yards the other way with this fumble.
So was Kennard.
Oh, goodness.
If he just falls on it.
Well, they're sending the field goal team out there. Hey,
on second down.
No, let's just kick this thing and get out of here.
It's second down. They're kicking a 46-yard field goal attempt. Joe Nedman. Knuckleball, but he gets through. And so the 49ers get on the scoreboard. Nedney's 46-yard kick makes it a 10-point ball game with 4 ticks remaining here in the first half.
How did you know that was all going to fall out that way?
You know, sometimes you just feel it. And sometimes you just make stuff up as you go along.
And it falls into place.
And it falls into place
seamlessly.
I'd rather be lucky than good. That was a perfect example of that. Well, Mike Shanahan definitely, you know, saying to Kennard Lang on that play, just fall on the ball. Just fall on it.
Yeah, secure it first, and then, but you're right on the sideline, and hey, he's a defensive end. I mean, he has to know that there's not a lot of people out that way. I got a shot for 6 points right here, you know.
And you don't get many shots.
You don't get many of those. But it cost him 3. Cost him 3.
At least. Because at that point, there was about 14 seconds or so. Maybe you take a shot and you got a couple timeouts.
No, don't go back on your philosophy.
Well, no, the Broncos can do that. It's okay for the Broncos to be aggressive on offense. Well, remember the Denver Broncos needing to win this game in order to make it to the playoffs. Champ Bailey doing his part to make sure that happens.
Well, you know, you got to lean on your playmakers in these types of situations, and that's what Champ Bailey has been for this Broncos defense all season long. And after their offense stalled in 2 goal-to-go situations, it's Champ Bailey and the defense that actually gets the touchdown.
Deadly line drive kick. Quincy Morgan take a knee in the end zone. So Jake Plummer will come out with 3 seconds left, and you would guess that with Jay Cutler still on the sideline, that the Broncos will just take a knee and go into the locker room at halftime.
Well, he had the jacket off. He's still got his helmet in his hand, so there's a possibility. You know, if it's a concussion where, you know, there's really no chance, those trainers will take that helmet away from you and hide it somewhere on the sideline so you can't sneak back out on the field.
And Plummer lined up to do just that, take a knee, and the Broncos had a couple of goal line opportunities. The 49ers prevented them from getting touchdowns, but the Bronco defense scored the only touchdown of the game. Champ Bailey taking it 70 yards after an interception, and the Broncos in a game they must win in order to make the AFC playoffs, lead it 13-0 here at halftime. The Visa halftime report coming up next.
Cinderella Broncos are looking to make a statement, but the Sooners are ready to show why. They are Big 12 champs. Boise State, Oklahoma. The Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, tomorrow, New Year's Day, only on Fox.
Or lose, as long as you try your best.
Easter Bunny.
Doing the bunny hot.
Are you for real?
You should see my abs. I left them in the car.
Spaceships.
So you see this guy, he's just like running like crazy.
He goes into his end zone type thing.
I'm sorry.
Would somebody please help me out here?
Help us decide the best NFL Super Bowl commercial ever.
Seriously, folks.
Vote now at NFL.com/SuperAd.
Over the Mile High City right now, and Bronco fans looking for a little extra high if they can win this ball game. Broncos leading 13-3 right now at halftime over San Francisco. Kurt Menefee, Tony Siragusa, and Daryl Johnston. Of course, if the Broncos win this game, they're in the playoffs. But right now, Tony, they've had to go most of the second quarter without their starting quarterback, Jay Cutler.
Yeah, and I happened to go downstairs and find out what the situation is, and they said they need to talk to the trainers. But there is a possibility we could see him here in the second half. You know, I thought it was pretty funny that they only have 2 quarterbacks on the roster, and you know, now their second guy's in, and their third guy is Smith.
Rod Smith, the wide receiver.
Yeah.
Well, in the first half, it looked like the Broncos were going to be able to do things offensively. They moved the ball, got inside the 5-yard line twice, but twice the San Francisco defense was able to stop them, thusly keeping themselves in this game. And really, the only touchdown so far has been an interception returned by Champ Bailey for a score.
Yeah, the San Francisco offense has not been able to get on track, and you have to credit a little bit of that to the Denver defense, because right now they're taking Frank Gore out of the game, but there's really not a lot of opportunities for Alex Smith down the field in the passing game. So maybe just good defense as opposed to poor offense.
Here's a look at our fantasy stats. Keep in mind, for the latest in fantasy news, be sure to log on to foxsports.com.
Frank Gore had that one big run on that last drive, but other than that, he's been kept in check pretty good. And we'll have to see if they can get. I'd start leaning on Frank Gore a little bit here in this second half.
Gore, 11 carries, 66 yards in the first half. And during that first half, he also took over the franchise's all-time single season rushing record. Maurice Hicks will try and get him in good position to start the third quarter. Out to the 25-yard line.
We'll show you a little bit of the defensive highlights from that first half. Jay Cutler was under pressure the entire first half. Early on, it was the secondary coming clean off the edges. But you had some big hits by the linebackers inside, and then Anthony Adams got to Jay Cutler. He hasn't been back in the game from that point, and it's not just been the 49ers defense getting pressure, but also the Broncos. Some good plays in the end zone, good pursuit, hard to run outside against this Denver defense, and Champ Bailey's interception, a defensive play, our only touchdown so far.
Here's Frank Gore, 66 yards in the first half, and starts off with a 5-yard run to begin the second. Well, defense was a story in the first half. John Lynch, you talk about the fountain of youth. He may put it in the bottle and start selling it the way he's playing right now.
Well, he's been off the edges, getting pressure, but it's his physical style of play. You know, we're still waiting on one of those big hits. He had a couple last week against Cincinnati. We're still waiting for that type of play, because he says he looks to try and get one during the course of the game. He likes to get it early. He went the first half without one. We'll see if he can get one here in the second half.
But he did have 5 tackles in that first half. Here's Gore. And there's John Lynch. Tackle number 6. Stops him at the 31.
You know, John Lynch making those big plays. I think it's not really the plays that are a factor. It's when he gets up and he starts celebrating with his teammates and they start smacking him in the head. That's when your neck really hurts, huh, Daryl?
Well, it's infectious. When he has one of those big hits, you know, for a defensive group, I mean, all of a sudden everybody gets pumped up, and you know, it's been something he's tried to do throughout his career. He loves to get one of those early in a game.
We talked about the depth of the back right here. This has got to be a run situation. He's 7 yards deep right there, Gore.
3rd and 3. They fake it to him. Wide open is Arnaz Battle, and Battle will pick up the first down.
That's a nice job of going and keeping your depth, even though you're going to have the play action and coming right off that with a pass play. It's a tendency that every offense has with their running back. It's the depth of the running back to determine whether it's going to be run and pass. The only thing is the screen when he's up short, and obviously the play action like we saw just there.
Yeah, one of the things that Frank's going to learn is the attention to detail. He's going to have to realize that when he's a single back, he can't be adjusting his depth from the line of scrimmage because it is a key for a defensive group.
First down